When most people hear the word dubstep, they think of the screaming bass lines of Skrillex, or the wicked wobbles of Bass Nectar. They picture an aggressive brand of electronic music, characterized by intense buildups and cathartic bass drops that burst onto the scene around 2010. The truth is that dubstep has a long and storied history. Its lineage includes reggae-driven dub music, the two-step tradition of breakbeat electronic music, and a UK hip-hop subgenre that developed in the early 2000s called grime. It wasn't until recently that American punk and metal influences transformed this countercultural niche into an international phenomenon. This is the history of dubstep. The name dubstep is a combination of the names dub and two-step garage. Dub music, like most genres of music, came from a technological advancement. Over the years, as recording technology became more advanced, mixing boards became a standard in studios. A producer could easily play with the levels of tracks by adjusting faders in real time and adding effects like reverb or delay by twisting knobs while the track played. Artists began to apply their mixing changes to pre-recorded songs. They would literally remix the songs, emphasizing the rhythm section and removing the vocals. The effect was called dubbing and was most often applied to old reggae records. Dubbing tracks, as a common practice, started in Jamaica in the 70s and 80s with artists like King Tubby and Bunny Lee, and grew to influence many different modern genres. Two-step garage emerged from the tradition of electronic dance music that was born in the late 80s. Whereas traditional house music is characterized by 4-to-the-floor rhythms and even 16th notes, two-step garage opted to break up the steady beat of the kick drum and add shuffling rhythms instead. As producers began to blur the line between dub and two-step garage, hip-hop got involved. Early grime had a breakbeat similar to two-step, but was generally half-time and contained heavier bass lines. In this way, instrumental grime tracks from this era laid the foundation for a lot of what we recognize today as dubstep. In the late 90s and early 2000s, a bass music scene began to develop in South London. Labels like Big Apple Records signed influential artists like Screamin' Benga and started throwing their own club nights where this new music could be played. They would remix records, just like the Jamaican dub artists used to do in the 80s, but began to experiment, taking influence from drum and bass, rave, and techno music. Ammunition Promotions is believed to have coined the term dubstep to refer to this new genre around 2003, and shows like the BBC's Dubstep Wars began to shed light on this underground phenomenon around 2006. By the end of the 2000s, dubstep had made its way to America. However, without the existence of grime, its audience largely drew from punk and metal. Artists like Bass Nectar and Skrillex brought their talents from metal and emo respectively, which had an audible effect on their music. Dubstep was morphing again, adding more complex waveforms and more focus to lower mid-frequencies. From around 2010 onward is when the genre spread around the world like wildfire and was pushed further forward by artists like Rusko, Datsik, and Nero. The genre became so popular that Skrillex collected 3 Grammys in 2012 for his album Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. This is largely regarded as the peak of what we now know as modern dubstep. As hard-fought as the success was for many of the artists who developed the genre, it also presented a series of new problems for dubstep. Purists began to use the derogatory term brostep to describe an aggressive form of dubstep that shared little in common with early dub and reggae other than a tempo. It seems that its quick ascension led to an even quicker demise. Rather than a rich history based on diverse influences, the term dubstep became defined by its lowest common denominator, the bass drop. However, the influence this genre had on the world of music is still massive and perhaps not yet fully known. From the groovy rhythms of dub and two-step to the complex sound design of bass-heavy brostep, dubstep launched a generation of music producers that now know that changing the face of music is as easy as having a laptop and a feeling. Oh, and some heavy bass doesn't hurt either.